Good evening. My name is Shelley Lewis, and I serve as president of the League of Women Voters of Geauga. On behalf of our board and the Political Action Committee of Kinston, we welcome you to our 2020 General Election Candidate Forum. Here with a special message from PAC is Kinston student Max Volrath.
Good evening. My name is Maxwell Volrath, and on behalf of the Political Actions Committee at Kinston, I'd like to thank you all for attending Candidates Night and showing your interest in politics. A principle of PAC is to educate those in our community on current political news and candidates. This has been a difficult year in every aspect of life and a huge year for political candidates. And so I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for putting on a virtual Candidates Night during this time of the COVID-19 pandemic. I would also like to thank the candidates for donating their time to discuss themselves and their ideas. This is a fundamental election, as it is an election for Congress and the President, with the census also occurring. With various state positions up for election too, this time more than ever, the American people need to get out to vote. Best said by Jackie Robinson, "I've never identified myself with one party or the other in politics. I always decide my vote by taking as careful a look at the actual candidates and the issues themselves, no matter the party label. Like Mr. Robinson, do not follow blindly behind one party tonight, but listen and decide for yourself who you believe to be the better candidate. In a controversial period, we need our voices heard. The best way for us to do so is to elect those we truly believe can accomplish that task." Thank you again and enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you, Max. A few words about candidate participation. For each race, candidates were invited using previously confirmed email addresses. Decisions not to participate are noted in red for each race. The League of Women Voters of Geauga does not support or oppose any individual candidate or party. Therefore, candidate participation in this forum should not be construed as a league endorsement of any individual's candidacy. Our format and rules for this evening. This is a forum to hear from and question the candidates. It is not a debate. We do not distinguish between incumbents and challengers. Therefore, you will not hear us use titles such as congresswoman or judge. We do not permit surrogates to stand in for the candidate. Candidates for each race present in alphabetical order by last name. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to present and must focus on their own qualifications and plans. The moderator then will present questions that have been gathered from the community via our website and screened by a league panel for compliance with our published criteria. Candidates have 1 minute to respond. Time limits will be strictly enforced. Candidates receive a 30-second alert during their opening remarks and a 10-second alert when responding to the community's questions. The time warnings will be visible to the candidates in the Zoom chat. The word "done" will be displayed in the Zoom chat when the time has elapsed. The moderator may, at their sole discretion, extend or shorten the questioning period. As a reminder, the League of Women Voters of Geauga is a nonpartisan political organization that encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League does not support or oppose individual candidates or parties. Our moderator tonight is Dr. Robert Lee. Dr. Lee serves as Vice President of the League of Women Voters of Geauga. Dr. Lee.
Thank you, Shelley. We will move to the Ohio Senate 18th District race, which includes Jerry Serino and Betsy Rader. And Mr. Serino accepted, but then canceled later on in favor of another event that he chose to attend. But tonight we will have Betsy Rader that will talk about the race.
Well, thanks so much for hosting this. I live in Russell Township, and I'm running for State Senate District 18, which is all of Portage County, a good part of Geauga County, and about half of Lake County. I have lived here for about 25 years. Our 3 kids went to the West Geauga Public Schools, but I was born in Appalachian, Ohio. My mom was a single mother of 4, struggling to get by on low-wage jobs. And my path out of poverty was a great public education, and then being able to work my way through Ohio State University at a time when you could do that, when our state universities were much more affordable. I was able to get a scholarship to Yale Law School, and I wanted to be a lawyer because I wanted to empower myself, I wanted to empower my family, and I wanted to empower other people. And throughout my life, I've really tried to do that. I started out with a law firm, Squire Sanders, and one thing I did was represented small businesses, enforcing the antitrust laws when corporate monopolists were trying to run them out of business. I went on to run Geauga County's child advocacy program for abused and neglected children. I still represent abused and neglected children to this day. Then I went on to work in healthcare. I was an executive at a physician staffing company, and we staffed the military during the Iraq War. I started and ran that division. I went on to work at Medicare and Medicaid, and also as senior counsel at the Cleveland Clinic. Now I have my own law firm, and I'm running for the state Senate because I feel that our legislature's priorities have become twisted. Gerrymandering and pay-to-play politics mean that our legislature isn't addressing the most pressing needs of Ohio's families. We've had an unconstitutional school funding system now for over 2 decades. You know, we had the whole EdChoice voucher issue up before the legislature right as the COVID pandemic hit. And when they've come back into session, they haven't dealt with that. And they haven't dealt with education funding. Instead, they've been dealing with really, issues that do not seem as critical, like taking away home rule for plastic bags. They also have been neglecting issues of healthcare access. And we've seen during the COVID pandemic how incredibly important that is. Another issue that's been highlighted by the pandemic is the need for universal broadband. We need that now for education, for telemedicine, and so that people can work from home. If we want equality of opportunity for everybody, if we want Ohio's economy to thrive, we have to start investing in our people. We have to start investing in the basics. And only when we do that can we all rise together out of this very difficult time.
Thank you. I don't know if you read the beginning of this program, but we did have questions submitted through our website, and I have a few questions that would like to ask you to respond to.
Sure.
First one is COVID-19 has brought economic harm to many. What would you do to encourage a vibrant economy both in your district and throughout Ohio?
Well, that was kind of my intro that I had. I would start investing more in our people. When I have talked to companies, especially manufacturing companies and places like Lake County, what they say is they have jobs, but they can't grow their companies because they don't have the workforce they need. They don't have the workforce that's trained. There's a lot of drug addiction issues in this state. We've got to adequately cope with the opioid crisis that's only gotten worse during the pandemic. We also have to really invest in public health and get this pandemic under control so that the jobs that we have lost in various service sectors, in tourism, in retail, in restaurants, the way we get those jobs back is that we have to take this pandemic seriously and follow public health orders, wear a mask, I disagree with taking away authority from our public health director. I think Governor DeWine has done a great job.
Thank you. Second question is, how would you work to implement uniform internet access throughout your district for those who work and learn at home?
There we go. I guess I anticipated these questions. One proposal that I read about just today, State Senator Teresa Fedor is talking about legislation that would make broadband a public utility, treat it like we do electricity. It's an essential need these days, just as much as electricity or water have been historically. The other thing that we can do is have public-private partnerships. And, one thing that I've been reading about is the fact that right now we don't have like an office of broadband at the state level. And so responsibility for trying to improve access is spread out through a lot of different agencies. And it needs to be pulled together in a central location so that we can have a more coordinated effort. There's proposals like single dig rules where you need to, you can coordinate throughout the state government so that when people are digging for one purpose, you're also coordinating and making sure that you're getting the broadband in at the same time.
Thank you. The third question that we have on our list is, do you think it's important to reduce the role of money in our elections? Why or why not?
Absolutely. It's one of my core principles. I don't take corporate PAC money. And some may know I ran for office before, and I did not take any corporate PAC money at that time. I think that we have seen, for instance, in the HB6 corruption scandal, what happens with pay-to-play politics, especially with these, corporate entities that are investing in buying influence with our state legislature. We also have to get rid of dark money in politics, these organizations that do advertising and pay for direct mail where you don't even, they always have nice sounding names like, We Love America PAC, but you don't know who really is behind that advertising. We need to have transparency. We need to get rid of that dark money. We also need better campaign finance laws in Ohio. For instance, in this election, we don't file our next disclosure until the end of October. So you're not going to know from June all the way to almost the election who has put money into these races. That is different from other jurisdictions, from other states and the federal government, and we need to change that.
Thank you. The last question I have is that what changes in Ohio policing laws would you support or oppose, and why?
I'm really happy to have a chance to talk about that. I've been endorsed by the Fraternal Order of Police of Ohio, and I've actually already had some really great conversations with the head of the Fraternal Order of Police. And, I come to this from a background as a civil rights lawyer, but also as having worked at the Cleveland Clinic, which has a very large police department of its own. So I actually have a lot of experience working with police departments. One thing we've talked about, for instance, is that we need to have more transparency in the hiring process so that when police departments are hiring people, they know more about the background of the police officers they're hiring, their disciplinary histories, because, police departments don't want to hire bad employees any more than anybody else does. They want to work with good people. The other thing we need to do is invest in training. And I think people might be surprised by how little police earn. And so we need to make sure that we're training and that we're recruiting the best and the brightest.
Thank you. That is the extent of our list of questions, and we do have a full agenda tonight, and want to thank you for meeting us on Zoom tonight. Just want to have a notice that as indicated on the slide, there is going to be a rebroadcast of this event through the Geauga League of Women Voters, as you can see, and also on GTV via Spectrum, that they will also be replaying tonight's candidates night. Then the next thing for those who are on site is to also reference some of the other valuable things as we go through the selection process. As the voter guides, Vote for 11 is an opportunity for registering to vote, update registrations. Also, the voters in Geauga County should have all received their printed voter guide that have the responses from all the candidates. And this is something that has been valuable, that has been produced here in Geauga County for many years. And for the judicial candidates, you can also go to the judicialvotescount.com, and that is another reference for people that have interest in the judicial candidates. So this concludes our Geauga County Candidates Night for 2020 general election. I want to take this opportunity to thank the candidates who participated tonight. The coronavirus has temporarily changed our world, and it takes courage and passion for our candidates to step out of their traditional campaign box and to speak to the Geauga County voters via Zoom format. The challenges of public office has also become a bit more complicated as a result of social media. So again, I want to thank each and every one of you for your desire and willingness either to enter and or to serve in the public arena. Special thanks goes to the Geauga County League of Women Voters and the Kenston Schools Student Political Action Committee. Individuals in both groups voted many hours of their time to make this event happen. The Geauga League of Women Voters are going to continue to remain equally passionate about increasing voter participation and creating more informed citizens. Thank you again for participating, and best wishes.